What do you think about this part of Texas?
Beautiful. I like Texas. If I had my chance, when I fully retire, this beats Florida hands down.
Gee, meet all my people, man.
That's good.
Steve and I are back in my home state of Texas to investigate the tragic 1996 murder of Stephen Phelps. He was a kind 36-year-old man who was a doting father to a 6-year-old little girl, and he was also a lab supervisor.
You know, you read a lot of cases, and you always look for why people get killed. This guy, I don't know. He's a good guy, loves his family, obviously, a hard worker, and he's killed in his own house. Probably one of the most frightening things that can happen, I think. Late one October evening, Stephen Phelps' wife, Lynette, left the house to pick up dinner. And when she returned home, she found him dead on the couch. Stephen had been brutally beaten and shot 3 times in the head. His rifles were missing, and his daughter was still asleep in the bedroom nearby.
I think when he started struggling, what's going through his mind is not just worry for himself, but for his baby.
But how does the daughter not hear some type of a disturbance or the gunshots? Makes no sense.
The police have always questioned Lynette's story and wondered if she might have been involved, especially after they learned that Stephen had been secretly recording her phone calls with the man she might have been having an affair with. Oh, my God.
20-some years later, we've got a big question mark as to really what happened here.
It takes a really special kind of monster to murder a man as sweet as Stephen Phelps. Whoever killed him needs to be brought to justice. These are the kinds of cases we just have to solve. I think all the cops here wear cowboy hats.
No kidding. Cowboy boots too?
This case is 24 years old, but we're treating today like it's day 1 of the investigation, and I am so excited to work with the Rosenberg Police Department. Hello, hello.
Good morning.
Good to see you
James
again.
Byrne.
This is Steve.
James
How
Byrne.
you doing, James?
Good. Sergeant Gethin.
Hey, sorry, Steve.
Nice to meet you.
Take the Freeman.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Are y'all excited?
We are.
Very excited.
Maybe we'll have some good luck this week.
I think so.
Let's get started.
I've worked several homicides, but this is my first cold case that I've ever worked. It just presents a whole new set of challenges. We don't have DNA, we don't have the gun. It's a lot of unknown.
Back when this happened in 96, were you here then? You're too little.
I was born in '88, so
Jeez.
having Kelly and Steve here with us, having that experience is extremely helpful.
Okay, Suni, you want to start with telling us a little bit about our victim, Stephen Phelps?
He was just a hard worker, worked in Houston, had a very good job, was a supervisor. His wife was a stay-at-home mom.
They look so young and happy, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like he was a very, very proud father.
Really good guy. You couldn't find anybody to say anything bad about him. Stephen, he's a young father. He's got a young child. Just the thought of this happening to me and he being away from my daughters like that, that's what made me want to get some closure in this case. Somebody took this little girl's dad away.
How did all this get started?
So, on October 16th of 1996, sometime around midnight, the police department got a phone call from a lady named Lynette Phelps. She's calling reporting that she left to go get some hamburgers, comes back home, and finds her husband, Stephen Phelps, dead on the couch. Her 6-year-old daughter, Lily, was in a bedroom asleep at the time. Our officers respond. They find the victim. He's laying face down on the couch. There's a pillow over his head with bullet holes going through the pillow. Looks like he's been shot 3 times in the back of the head. He's got some wounds to his forearm that look like defensive wounds. There's a gun cabinet that's open. There's a back door that appears to have been left unlocked.
Bloodstains suggest that Stephen was initially beaten near the door, then dragged to the couch and shot 3 times in the head with a .22 pistol. Police believe that the suspect then took the rifles from the gun cabinet in an attempt to make it look like a burglary gone wrong, which it did until investigators discovered there was more to the story.
When they talked to Lynette initially, she made it seem like they were just a perfect couple, but the detectives at the time started talking to everybody that knows Stephen, and one of the people that tells them that Stephen suspected his wife was cheating on him, he bought a recording device to tap the phone line. In doing so, he confirmed that she was talking to other men. Police go looking for this device. They end up finding it in an attic.
So when they're going through all the tapes, what do they hear?
They find a conversation with Lynette and Alfred Hinton.
When you get ready, I'll pick up your stuff. We got a house down there. I'll keep it open.
Where's the clause? There must be a hidden clause.
No hidden clause, no requirement. I told you I didn't like sex.
That's a pretty flirting tape going on.
It definitely gives the impression that there's big issues going on with the marriage.
But as far as we know, neither of them actually contacted a divorce lawyer.
No.
Okay. Lynette denied having an affair with Alfred, but she did admit having sex with him after Stephen's death. Either way, the way she lied about her less than perfect marriage and then her kind of sketchy alibi made her a prime suspect. Let's start with the big picture. We can all agree an unhappy marriage. Right. For what reasons?
Her partying activity or extramarital activity.
She would leave for days at a time without him knowing where she was and when she was coming back.
How about life insurance?
I mean, she's in line for at least $350,000.
As far as we know, Stephen wasn't actively pursuing a divorce, but if Lynette thought that he was, then it's possible that the life insurance payoff became her motive. What about the gun?
There are some guns that were pawned. We believe those to be the stolen guns from the murder scene.
And you know that pawn shop, huh?
Yes, ma'am. I know the pawn shop well.
The biggest break in this case occurred 2 months after the murder, when Stephen's stolen guns turned up in a local pawn shop. The man trying to pawn those rifles was a local drug dealer by the name of Stacy Booker. He has since passed away, but at the time he was friends with Lynette Phelps, Stephen's wife.
Mr. Stacy Booker, and they call him Big Boy. What was his criminal history? Did he have any violent priors?
There's one robbery back in 91. That's the only violent crime I see on there.
And his explanation when he's caught with our murder scene missing guns, what?
And he says that she gave them to him.
Lynette gave me the guns. How does he respond to questioning when it gets to the questions about Lynette?
He tells the detectives that he knows information but doesn't want to give it to them.
When she was questioned, Lynette denied giving Stacy the guns. So did Stacy kill Stephen and then when he was questioned implicate Lynette to take the heat off of him? Did Lynette kill Stephen and just use Stacy to get rid of the evidence? Were they in it together? Or is there another possibility? Okay, let's put up Mr. Alfred Hinton.
He's almost 60 years old at the time of the murder.
Because she's how much younger than him? 30 years.
Half his age.
Alfred Hinton is the man that Stephen recorded flirting with Lynette. He was married, but he spent a whole lot of time on his ranch where he also employed and housed Stacy Booker. Stacy is the one that introduced Lynette to Alfred.
The biggest thing with Alfred is he distances himself from everybody and makes it seem like he doesn't really know them, including Lynette, who we know he's had conversations with.
And the night before, she's staying in his house.
Stephen knew about Alfred. Does he worry about his wife finding out? I don't know.
To the degree that he would kill somebody?
Yeah, maybe Lynette's still in his head with, he knows about us.
So you're saying if he's got a motive, then maybe his wife's going to find out. If Alfred was having an affair with Lynette, would he have wanted to silence Stephen to hide his affair? Was he the one that gave Stacy the guns? Is it possible that all 3 of our suspects are involved?
We got a lot of questions that need answers.
That's a lot of good places to start, though. When was it you called Mona?
3 weeks ago. I explained to her what we were doing with the case, that it was being reopened, and she was very receptive to the idea.
Okay. Stephen and Lynette's daughter Lindley was raised by Lynette, and today Lindley and Lynette still live together in a neighboring county. We don't want to get in the middle of that relationship right now, but we do want to meet with Stephen's sister because she's the person who has been fighting for justice for Stephen all these years, and we want her to know that we're going to do everything that we can to try and get that justice for her. What was Stephen like?
He was my baby brother. Even as he got to be 6'4" tall, he was still my little brother. I was 11 years old when he was born, and we were raised by my dad. And I was kind of a caretaking figure too, because I babysat for him and changed his diapers and everything from day one. Every moment that I had with him was a privilege. He was really coming into his own and fell in love with Lynette. Just head over heels in love.
How was Stephen when his daughter was born?
I've never seen anybody so happy. We all were thrilled for his happiness. Didn't expect it to come crashing down so quickly. Steve's dream was being a family guy. I think he was happy with what they had in the beginning, and I guess he was hopeful that somehow they would get through the hard patches and come out on the other side of it. She would be gone for weekends and saying that she just was going out and partying with her friends. and she would leave the child with a neighbor, and my brother would come home, and not only was his wife gone, he didn't know where his daughter was, and my brother he would be panicked about his daughter.
How did Lynette act at the funeral?
Very strange. As I recall, Lynette sat in the front row by herself.
Did you ever see Lynette crying?
I didn't.
How about at the cemetery?
No. I've never been at peace with it.
Your brother deserves justice.
I believe that very strongly.
We don't get victims like Stephen Phelps that often. So innocent and sweet, and a devoted husband and a devoted father. And to be so horribly murdered in his own home, fighting for his life while his little girl was asleep down the hall in her bed. If that doesn't motivate you, what does? Before we talk to any of the witnesses or the suspects in Stephen Phelps' case, we want to look at the physical evidence. We got Chris Robinson coming in today. He's a ballistics firearms examiner, and Dr. Catherine Hayden-Paneri. She runs the lab now in Montgomery County.
Great.
While the pistol that killed Stephen has never been found, we do have the 3 bullets that were all recovered from his head. You going first, Chris?
Yes, ma'am. I'm excited.
We're hoping that our ballistics expert can use them to help us identify the make and model of the pistol that was used. That could help us narrow down which of our suspects may have had access to that weapon.
Okay, so there were 3 .22 lead bullets. As you can see, the bullets are very badly damaged and flattened out from where they struck the body. Under the microscope, though, I was able to match a few marks called individual characteristics on those bullets. So when I plug this in the database, it's a .22 caliber. We're looking at 4 lands and grooves with a right-hand twist. This gun, the Harrington Richardson revolver, it's a cheap gun. It can be purchased for probably $50 to $70. So
That cheap?
it is.
Wow.
According to Chris, there's only one revolver that matches the bullets that killed Stephen, an H&R .22 revolver. Unfortunately, that gun is not rare or expensive, and any one of our 3 suspects could have potentially obtained that weapon.
Dr. Paneri, I guess you're up.
Now we want to review Stephen's injuries. The question is there anything that can provide insight into how he was killed and who the killer was?
Mr. Phelps has 3 gunshot wounds of the head. Additionally, we have another injury to the back of his head, which is blunt trauma. And it's right here. He was hit on the back of the head with something at some point. But he also has some pattern injuries on his body. And they actually leave an imprint of the implement that was used to inflict them. There's these central areas here where there's nothing in the middle. Immediately, my thought goes to a tubular object. When someone is struck with a tubular object, when it touches the skin, it pushes the blood that's in the blood vessels directly under the impact site off to the sides, and it leaves little lines on either side of the object. The injuries that are on his arm are about 1/4 to 3/8 inch wide. Could be something like a pool cue or lead pipe.
Stephen's injuries are not unique enough to pinpoint the weapon that caused them, but it is interesting that the killer beat him before shooting him. Was that because they were trying to subdue him, or was Stephen's murder personal?
I've been waiting, contemplating, dreaming of the day that I could make my move.
Our house is still standing, but hoarders live there.
Oh, the dog has to stay in the backyard because it's so bad in the house. True story. There's no place for the dog in the house.
We don't have access to the house where Stephen was killed, but we've taped off a mock crime scene at a similar home. Our plan is to critically examine the events of that night and Lynette's account of what happened that night. Oh, okay.
So this is it. That right there would have been a wall. And here's that other door.
It's a little bitty room.
There's the couch. That's where Stephen would be. And here's the gun cabinet that we keep talking about with the guns missing.
And he's on the couch. How?
He's face down with his head pointed in that direction. with a pillow over his head. With the blood, there's just a few little smear stains in the linoleum.
With Stephen's defensive injuries and the blood in the entryway, it's obvious that the attack did not begin on the couch. So the question is, how did Stephen wind up there?
Okay, let's do this. You play our suspect, you play Stephen, and y'all try to reenact what you think happened compared to the couch, the blood drops, the gun cabinet, and all these bruises.
So Stephen comes to the door, and I think that he heard something at the garage. He comes to push the door closed because there's a fight right here. He pushed back and he pushed back.
He's continually struck 7 times.
He goes down.
Turns his head, runs to the back of the head. He hits him maybe over the shoulder. At some point, he either knees him into the gut and just drags him over to the couch. On a small pillow, head down, comes the gun. Bang, bang, bang. It's over with. Stephen's killer likely used the pillow in an attempt to muffle the gunshots. What's odd is that instead of bringing the pillow to Stephen, they brought Stephen to the couch, and Stephen weighed over 200 pounds. It doesn't mean Lynette couldn't have committed this murder on her own. However, Stacy Booker was 6 feet tall, 400 pounds, and he and Alfred Hinton both worked on Alfred's ranch. So it would have been easier for either one of them to overpower Stephen.
Lividity is the pooling of the blood after somebody dies. The blood is going to pool down with gravity. According to the autopsy photos, he still has lividity that's showing up on his face and the front of his chest and upper body. And he's laying on his back. And he's been on his back for hours before this photo is taken. So this tells me that this lividity on the front part of his torso is fixed. So it would be most consistent with him being there for a couple of hours, minimum.
If she really left the house at 11:15 and she's calling the dispatcher by 12:03, you're saying
that's inconsistent with the lividity that's fixed on his body. It had not just happened when she comes home.
Lynette claimed that Stephen was alive when she left about 11 o'clock that night, but dead when she got home about an hour later. But the lividity in Stephen's body suggests that he had been dead at least 3 hours before she called the police. That is huge, and it's a big clue that Lynette's story is not the whole truth. Suni, why don't you be Lynette?
Okay.
And tell us her story.
She says she walks in and she sees Stephen, and then she says that she notices that 5-6 guns are missing, but there's one in there. She doesn't check him. She walks over here to check on Lindley, who's still asleep in the bedroom, comes back out and calls the dispatcher to let him know that her husband is dead.
You've already seen Stephen dead, but you walked right past him and didn't touch him or check on him or anything?
That's her story.
I don't know how you can tell somebody's dead when they're partially covered up and you can't see them and you haven't touched them.
There's a whole lot about Lynette's story that doesn't make any sense. How did she know Stephen was dead if she never even went near his body? Why wasn't she afraid of the attacker that could have still been in the house? And how in the world did she know the guns were missing from the gun cabinet if she never went near the gun cabinet? And these guns that are missing from the gun cabinet are next seen when and where?
They find some that were pawned by Stacy Booker at a pawn shop.
Lynette may have had a hand in Stephen's murder, but she's not the one who ended up with his guns. We've got 2 more suspects that may have been involved. Lynette Felt's story about the night of her husband's death sure seems fishy. But from what we know, he was a good husband, a good father, and the sole source of her financial support. So would she really throw all that away for another man or for some insurance money?
Hello, this is Mark Sample.
My name is Suni Hugueta. I'm a sergeant with the Rosenberg Police Department here in Texas.
We've read that Stephen was close to his boss, Mark Sample. We're hoping that he can give us some insight into Stephen's marriage.
I know that you were his supervisor at the time?
I was, yes. He's a good worker. He was a good guy.
Were y'all friends? Did he confide in you about anything?
There's a tickle back there about that he had done something to record his wife. they knew that she was cheating on him or something, but I just don't remember.
Okay, thank you.
Mark Sample's memory has faded after 24 years, and that is understandable. It's also one of the hurdles when you work on cold cases, but we're just warming up. We're going to track down anybody that we can find who might know something about Stephen and Lynette's relationship.
Hello? We're looking back at the murder of Stephen Phelps.
There's a cold case now, right?
Well, hopefully we're heating it up.
How well did you know Lynette?
A little bit. She used to come down. I worked at a bar there, and that's where I met Lynette.
Was she happy in the marriage?
She didn't say like she wasn't, but always kind of wondered why she was out at the bar.
Did he tell you that he was worried that she was cheating on him?
Yes. He was acting very odd, spending a lot of time away from the house and just, crazy stuff like that, which wasn't normal, to me.
Did you see any changes in Lynette at all over the years you knew her?
Yeah, she went from being a sweet, wonderful, independent person to secretive. She went out a lot at night by herself.
What was that about?
I'm sure she was having an affair or something.
Okay.
Apparently, Stephen was not the only one who suspected Lynette was cheating. It makes you wonder if those secret recorded phone calls Stephen had of Lynette and Alfred flirting were the final straw.
So you knew that they were having some marital problems?
Oh, yeah.
Because he told you that they...
Oh, you could see it. You could feel it. He told us that he was feeling uncomfortable, and I think he was getting ready to ask her for a divorce. Well, she didn't want a divorce because if she divorced him, of course, all of the money would leave, the house would leave, and the lifestyle that she had become accustomed to would stop. He said that he was trying to change the way his funds were, moving stuff around and switching it from one account to another. I don't know if he even got a chance to do that or if he was in the process of doing it. I have no clue.
It sounds as if Stephen was emotionally and financially ready to end things with Lynette. In reviewing the case file, just days before the murder, Stephen transferred a large amount of money into his personal bank account that Lynette didn't have access to. Lynette claimed that transfer was for tax purposes, but could it have really been Stephen trying to cut her off?
Hello?
Hi, is this Bill Wilder?
Yes.
We know that Stephen never actually filed for divorce, but if he was seriously considering it, we wonder if maybe he reached out to his father's probate lawyer for some advice.
I'm calling about a man named Stephen Phelps that may have talked to you at some point, some 23 years ago.
Yeah, what happened was, I used to live in Edna. I was their family lawyer. One day, he came by and he wanted to talk about a divorce. And during the time we were talking, he said he was concerned because he thought his wife was dangerous and his life might be in danger or something. So I told him, we could get a restraining order, and then never did hear from him. A few months later, he'd been murdered.
Wow. Now we know that Stephen was actually planning for a divorce, and we now know he was scared of her.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Wilder. You have a good day.
Yes, ma'am.
This is a huge piece of new circumstantial evidence, and he is what I like to call a jackpot witness.
Nice. That was a good one.
That was a good one. Nice.
Are you ready to begin?
Yeah, what'd y'all find?
Here are some tapes.
Oh, and now we can play them?
Yeah.
That's great. During the initial investigation, the police recovered a recording device that Stephen placed on his own phone to see if he could find out if Lynette was cheating on him. Lucky for us, Officer Guerrero has found a tape that recorded one of Stephen's own phone conversations. We don't get to hear the victim's voice very often, and we are excited to hear what's on this tape.
Hey, what's up? I got bad things going on in my life. My wife ain't been home in 3 days. I'm afraid this is the end of our marriage. I just don't see any other way out. I'm just like, I want out. I'm looking forward to being away from her. That's all I'm looking forward to.
They're really nice to have. This tape is a beautiful piece of evidence because it shows Stephen's state of mind at the time, but there's a legal problem. In order for the tape to be admissible, you have to find someone who can authenticate it. Stephen is dead, so the only other person who can authenticate it is that person he's talking to, and we don't know who that is yet.
That's what I've been thinking about.
It's like he's his boss.
Trying to think, maybe I'll get shot or killed tonight. Well, my wife's got a gun, and that's what's scaring me. Because I have a pistol, and I was looking for it, and I couldn't find it. I know she's got it, and that's kind of scaring me. You never know, a crazy woman with a gun, you gotta kind of worry about things like that.
It's unclear which pistol Stephen is talking about, but it's possible that that pistol's our murder weapon. It's also horrifying to think that he might have predicted his own murder. Now more than ever, we gotta figure out who he's talking to.
I'll talk to you in the morning. Bye.
And this tape right here is all the things we want. The gun's missing, she's lost it, I'm getting divorced, I'm done, I'm over it. This is beautiful. This could be Mark Sample, don't you think? Well, he didn't remember this conversation when we were talking to him earlier. We're thinking that Stephen could have been talking to his supervisor, Mark Sample. There's only one way to find out. Okay, so get these conversations emailed to Mark Sample. He didn't have to remember it. As long as he can say, that is my voice, this is admissible in court. Thank you. It's wonderful. Yes, please let it be him.
How old is this guy, do you know?
Henderson, he's got to be pushing.
I was thinking like with Jesus.
While we wait to hear back from Stephen Felt's old boss, it's time we turn our focus onto Stacy Booker and Alfred Hinton as suspects in this case.
There he comes. It's got to be that truck right there.
Shortly after Stephen's murder, Stacy Booker attempted to sell some of Stephen's belongings to a friend of his by the name of Alan Henderson.
I want to talk to you a little bit about Nick Wood. We know that he tried to sell you some of Stephen Phelps' music equipment.
Right. He had asked me for one about some of that stuff.
Okay, and did you look at any of it?
Didn't even see it.
You never saw it. Did you see Lynette whenever he came?
I've never met one.
Do you ever remember him having a gun of any sort?
No. But he did try to borrow.
What kind of gun did he try to borrow?
My grandfather is an ex-chief of police in Richmond. Now, he had a gun. And Big Boy was like, yeah, could you get that? I'm like, no, I'm not getting my grandpa's gun.
Did you ask him what he needed a gun for?
Yep.
What'd he say?
They take care of some business. Well, so, I mean, huge flags. It wasn't too long after he'd had that conversation with me that this happened.
That Stephen got murdered.
Right.
Did you ever just ask him if he did it?
Never did.
Never did it.
Did you ever talk to him much
Scared
after
to
that?
death of him. That dude was 5 times my size.
We've learned that shortly before Stephen's murder, he noticed that a pistol was missing and believed that Lynette may have taken it. This witness makes you wonder if Lynette took it and gave it to Stacy.
So your flirting skills at work today.
He likes them young.
Yep.
Lynette was 30 years younger than him.
We initially considered that Lynette could have just been using Stacy to get rid of Stephen's stolen guns. Now it feels like Stacy could have pulled the trigger. But we're still unclear about Alfred Hinton's possible involvement.
How you doing, sir?
Yeah, I ain't got no wife, so you don't have to worry about no problem.
Lynette said they only had sex after Stephen's death. But if they were having an affair, could Alfred have wanted to silence Stephen to keep the affair a secret and help Lynette get out of her marriage?
You knew Lynette,
Yeah.
and you also knew Stacy Booker.
Yeah, Stacy worked for me. They were friends. And so I met her through Stacy.
Okay.
What happened to him, that was unique.
What happened to who?
Her husband. He was at home and somebody broke in there and killed him. That
And how'd
was
you find that out?
from Lynette and Stacy.
They were talking about it?
Yeah.
Did they
Well,
ever
she
tell
went
you
home
about
and
it?
found out, somebody had broke in the house and killed him.
They interviewed Lynette a couple of times.
Probably did. She should have been a suspect. But anyway,
And what makes you say that?
well, your husband get killed. You know.
You could tell things weren't right at home because why was she hanging around over here?
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
The night before Stephen Phelps ends up murdered in his own living room, guess where Lynette spent that night? here on your property at your house. That's where she is the night before. So what we're trying to figure out is the night before Stephen ends up dead, who is Lynette talking to out here? You or Stacy?
Papa most likely she was Stacy, but don't get me wrong, I don't see Stacy. Now, it just means, this is an opinion, to put that package together.
He's not smart enough.
Ma'am?
He's not smart enough, you're saying.
That's my thinking.
She is.
She is. Maybe so.
What if Lynette told Stacy Stephen had $300,000 of insurance money? Would that motivate Stacy?
Could have been.
Alfred initially downplayed how well he knew Stacy and Lynette. Today he's being more forthcoming, and it could be because so much time has passed, could be because his wife has passed away.
So when they interviewed Lynette, they asked her about you. And she mentioned that at one point y'all had a thing going on.
No, I was like a parent to them.
Let me show you this.
Okay.
Did you have an affair with Mr. Hinton? After Stephen's death, yes, I did. So Lynette admits y'all did have an affair.
No more than a friendly affair. Not nothing personal.
Well, you need to know is that Lynette's husband had a tape recorder hidden in the attic that recorded all the phone calls she made.
Yep.
So we got tapes of you talking to her.
Yeah.
Flirting with her.
Yeah, plain.
You're pretty good flirt too, Mr. Hinton. So it sounds like y'all have something going on.
If you want to call it flirting or whatever.
But she says y'all had sex.
No, ma'am. We never did go into that.
Alfred is denying that he ever slept with Lynette, but Lynette told the police they did. Why would she do that? Because it made her look like more of a suspect. Did you have anything to do with the murder of Stephen Phelps, Mr. Hinton?
Me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, no, ma'am.
Okay.
I had no need in any form or fashion.
You said you never even met the man.
No, ma'am.
Never even met him.
Oh, I've never seen
Never
him.
laid eyes
I
on him.
don't even know how he looked.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Hinton, you have a good day, okay?
Alfred is frustrating, but he also didn't say anything today to make us feel like he's involved in this.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. Good morning. Hello. How are y'all? We've spoken to our suspect, Alfred Hinton, who didn't say anything that gives us any evidence that he's involved in this. So today, we're going to approach Stephen's wife, Lynette Phelps.
I do have an update. Mark Sample wrote me back, and he confirmed that that's him on that conversation.
That's him on the tape? So Mark Sample says that's him talking to Stephen. Excellent. This is great because Stephen's old boss just confirmed that that was him on the tape.
Well, my wife's got a gun. That's what's scaring me.
Now we can prove in court that Stephen was done with his marriage, he was worried about his missing gun, and he was scared that his wife might kill him. It is beautiful circumstantial evidence, and even better that it's out of Stephen's own mouth. Lynette, she's the real play. So you want to do her, I'm assuming.
Love to do her.
And that's okay with you?
Yeah.
It's time we track down Lynette.
Gotta get past the first hurdle and just get him to come talk to us.
Yeah. We've learned that Stephen's marriage to Lynette was falling apart. He was limiting her access to his funds. And further, he was scared for his life.
All right, here we are. See if the homicide gods are on our side today, buddy boy.
We know from examining the lividity in Stephen's body that he was dead longer than Lynette said he was. And we know that Lynette's friend, Stacy Booker, wound up with Stephen's stolen guns. I can't wait to confront her one day.
Hello, Miss Phelps. I'm a detective with Rosenberg Police Department. How are you doing? Wonderful. Got a second to talk to us? About what? Well, in the homicide of your husband, I'd like to clear a few things up with you. You got a few minutes?
Okay, what is that?
So tell us a little bit about that night.
I went to go get burgers from Whataburger.
Okay.
And I came home and I found my husband on the couch.
Okay.
And my baby girl was in the house.
She was in the house the whole time? And there's nothing else you remember about that
No,
night?
there's not.
How did you know he was dead when you walked in and saw him?
Because I could see that.
How could you see it? Why didn't you check on it? That would have been normal, wouldn't it, man?
Because if I would have touched him, I know that they would have said that there were my fingerprints on him.
You live there. That would have been normal. How odd is it that Lynette would be afraid to leave her fingerprints on Stephen's body, her husband who she claims to love and she's afraid to touch him. The medical examiner thinks the body was dead for several hours prior to the time you got back.
I went to Whataburger to get burgers. And you were gone for 45 minutes at the most?
Because, right, because Stephen was dead before you left.
That's the facts.
Would it surprise you that people we talked to said that Stephen was afraid of you at some point then?
I wouldn't believe that.
Why did Stephen transfer all of his money and his direct deposits out of one account into another to keep it away from you? He didn't trust you.
That's not true. He was getting ready to divorce you. We've already talked to the attorney that he made an appointment with. That's not true. So who do you believe did this?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Still, I find it hard to believe.
Well, I'm sure you do.
If you don't have any idea who did it, you would be calling us, telling us what the hell's going on, asking us how come we're not investigating. Have you done that once?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Why not?
Why not?
Because I was traumatized by what happened. And I still...
Stephen was killed. That was your husband. Did you love your husband?
Of course I did.
You're not wanting to find the killer.
You're not. How did Stacy wind up with the guns that you said were Stacy's?
How'd that happen? Come on now. Please.
I need to call my attorney.
Okay. Can we wait here while you do that?
Lynette called her attorney, and he instructed her not to speak to us anymore. That means we have to shut this down. Think, ma'am. Think. My experience and in talking with Detective Freeman, we expect true victims to act like victims. I know that sounds simple, but that's what it is. They ask questions. They cry. They want to know what happened to their loved ones. They want to talk a little bit about the life that they had with those persons and how their life has changed. Not Lynette. She doesn't want anything to do with us. If looks could kill, I'd be in the hole right now.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have examined all the evidence, spoken to all the witnesses, and now it's time for us to review everything we've learned. Mr. Hinton was still flirtatious at 84, but do any of us think that Alfred Hinton is the person killing Stephen Phelps?
There was no motive for him. He had money.
Alfred Hinton denied what Lynette told the police about their relationship.
She says y'all had sex.
No, ma'am, we never did go into that.
But we didn't find any evidence that suggests in any way that he played a part in Stephen's murder, so we need to eliminate him. Mr. Hinton is cleared out of this. Everybody agree?
Yep. I think he needs to go.
All right, deceased Stacy Booker.
He kept asking to borrow a gun.
Did you ask him what he needed a gun for?
Yep.
What'd he say?
He take care of some business.
We know that he's covering up for her and lying for her.
He ends up with the stolen guns.
We've learned that Stacy Booker was eager to borrow a pistol in the days right before the murder. And the way Stephen was attacked suggests that his killer was strong.
Drags him over to the couch. Comes the gun. Bang.
But most damning of all, Stacy got caught palming the firearm stolen from the crime scene. Talk about a smoking gun. Stacy had 5 of them. Well, Stacy Booker stays up here, even though because he's passed away, he can never be charged. Lynette Phelps.
When she's interviewed by the police, she's saying they had a good marriage, when in fact, we know that Stephen was done. He was looking to get a divorce.
She was getting ready to ask her for a divorce. Well, she didn't want a divorce because if she divorced him, of course, all of the money would leave, the house would leave, and the lifestyle that she had become accustomed to.
She's on the fast track to know where Stephen lives.
And now you found the divorce lawyer who specifically remembers the fact that Stephen comes in hard determined to get a divorce.
He wanted to talk about a divorce. He thought his wife was dangerous and his life might be in danger.
Her timeline where she said she was only gone 45 minutes got the science to prove that she's lying.
Lividity on the front part of his torso is fixed. So it had not just happened when she comes home.
She doesn't grab her daughter to come outside and wait for the police, not knowing that the killer could still be in the house.
I mean, that's stupid.
Best witness against Lynette herself. How did you know he was dead when you walked in and saw him? Why didn't you check on him?
Because if I would have touched him, I know that they would have said that there was my fingerprints wrong.
This case, it's a circumstantial case, and that's all new to me. But we have all these little pieces that when you put them all together, they point to nobody else but Lynette.
You look excited.
I am. I'm excited to ask him to get an indictment for murder.
The Fort Bend County District Attorney Brian Middleton has agreed to come down to listen to Suni run the whole case down to him. The hope is that they agree that there is sufficient evidence to pursue an indictment against Lynette for the murder of her husband, Stephen. Chief, you've been waiting a long time to make this day happen, and she's been working her butt off.
I think you gave a very good presentation. There are a lot of dots to connect, but I think once you connect the dots, I feel confident that we have enough to go forward.
Great. Great.
The amount of work you guys put into this is impressive, and it'll be a team effort, but we'll continue it on.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
All right.
I can see that in the stillness. The only one who's standing there is you.
How are you feeling, girl?
Feeling relieved. Glad we got a good conclusion to all of this.
It's a very special occasion because you don't really get to tell them good news.
It's the first cold case I've ever worked, so this whole process has been new for me. Learned quite a bit.
I don't have any more for you to work, though. That's too bad because you're good at it. It always feels good to have good news to tell a victim's family member. And Suni and I are so excited to be able to tell Mona that this case is finally moving forward. I've been worrying all week, huh?
A little bit.
Well, we have been talking to a lot of people. We met with the district attorney's office and went over everything that we've compiled up to this point. They agreed with us that there is more than enough to present it in front of a grand jury.
Well, I'm filled with a lot of gratitude. I'm hopeful now. I mean, I'm allowing myself now. You're all
allowing yourself to be hopeful. You can be hopeful sometimes.
There is no happy ending. That possibility ended with his life. But I'm grateful that we have a chance for some justice. Thank you. Thank you both. It means a lot.
Everybody needs a sister like you.
That's a wonderful compliment.
Yeah, we're hard. Stephen Phelps was a really good man, a loving husband, and a wonderful father. And after 24 years, it feels good to finally be able to tell his family that the case is finally moving forward, and maybe now they can finally have a little more peace.
He answered his country's call.
He deployed to the Middle East to do a full tour.
She was the woman he left behind.
You can only imagine the longing.
And despite the challenges, they made it work.
They were together for 13 years. They had 4 beautiful daughters. They had a bright future ahead of them.
Until, after surviving Afghanistan, he died at his own front door.
She hears a knock at the door.
The next thing she hears are gunshots.
It looked like it was personal. It was an execution.
Was it also a betrayal?
They find hundreds of text messages. They found nude pictures. This was more than just a fling.
But does it add up to murder?
It ain't against the law to cheat.
Or is the obvious suspect not always the right one?
They are gloating about their crime.
They consider themselves Bonnie and Clyde.
Talk about a plot twist.
This man lost his life because of that?
April 7th, 2021. It's late Wednesday night in Newport News, Virginia, a hard-working port city just across the James River from Norfolk, home to the U.S. Navy's Atlantic Fleet.
Newport News is pretty much a military town because you got one of the biggest naval bases on the East Coast right here. And you also got a couple surrounding Army bases as well.
You have a lot of active and retired military in and around Newport News.
And at 2 o'clock that April morning, the wife of one former serviceman makes a frantic call to 911.
911, what is your emergency?
Something's happened to my husband.
Okay, calm down. What is your name?
The caller, is 36-year-old Danielle Shabazz.
Danielle told the operator that she and her children were away from the house that night.
But she'd called her husband, 39-year-old Sal Shabazz, to say goodnight.
Hey, baby, how's it going?
Hey. Danielle and her husband were on the phone talking, and all of a sudden, she hears a knock at the door.
Hold on, somebody's at the door.
Who?
He went to see who it was.
What's up? Can I help you?
She hears her husband talking to whoever is at the door.
What are you talking about, man?
The next thing she hears are a series of bangs.
I don't even worry about it.
Sal. I don't know. I think it was gunshots.
Then the phone goes silent.
He won't answer me.
Your mind would just run the gamut of possibilities. Your mind just starts spinning.
She was completely terrified that something had happened to him.
Please send somebody to the house.
Sal Shabazz grew up in South Bend, Indiana, as one of 12 siblings.
His mother had 6 children, and then she adopted 6 more.
I couldn't do it without God. He called me to be the mother of these children, and he equipped me to do so, to parent them.
The fact that half his siblings were adopted wasn't all that set Sal's family apart.
He grew up with his mom being Christian, his father being of the Islam faith.
His full name is Saladin Ibn Shabazz. Saladin is an Arab name.
He was named from a historical sultan from Egypt and Syria who fought the Crusaders in the Holy Land.
From an early age, Sal lived up to his heroic name.
He was a star athlete when he was in high school.
He played varsity football from the day he walked into high school all the way through. He's broke all kind of records that have yet today to be broken.
He was very popular.
Sal Shabazz is that all-American kind of dude.
After finishing high school, Sal continued his success in college.
Sal played football for Grand Valley State and then transferred to Minnesota State.
However, he didn't graduate. Instead, his life careened in a different direction.
While he was in college, Sal's on-again, off-again, long-term girlfriend, Danielle Holland, got pregnant.
Sal and Danielle had known one another since they were kids.
With the impending birth of their daughter, Sal and Danielle decided to make their relationship official.
They got married in 2007. They got married at the courthouse on New Year's Eve. It was like a quick wedding.
And Sal chose a different path for his life to support his family.
Sal enlisted in the Army.
He came to me one day and said, "Mom, I want a way to provide for my family, so I'm going to go to the service."
Although it wasn't without risks.
Sal was immediately deployed to the Middle East to do a full tour in Afghanistan.
And the disruptions didn't end once Sal came home from overseas.
Once Sal returned from his deployment, he was stationed in Newport News, Virginia. So Danielle packed up with her husband and they moved 800 miles away from Indiana to the Chesapeake Bay.
Together, they built a new life in Virginia.
Sal and Danielle had 4 daughters.
Danielle was working at the post office as a mail carrier, and once Sal got discharged from the military, he got a job as a forklift operator.
A decade after Sal first shipped off to Afghanistan, he and Danielle had beaten the odds.
A lot of military couples don't last after the spouse is away for such a long time. Sal and Danielle were the exception. It was almost like they were meant for each other.
He was a good husband, awesome dad. He always was a provider.
They had a bright future ahead of them.
Only now, Danielle fears something terrible has happened to her husband.
Sal's wife has called Newport News police after hearing what she believes to be gunshots.
They had been talking on the phone when she heard the bangs.
He won't answer me.
And at that point, 911 dispatches the police to the house to investigate.
When officers arrive, they see nothing alarming at first.
The front door is closed. There's no sign of a gunman.
There are no signs of forced entry.
Sheriff's office.
Not taking any chances, the police carefully make entry into the Shabazz home.
Inside, they find a horrific scene.
The first thing they see is Sal Shabazz lying on the floor.
He's laying in a pool of blood.
He had been shot 4 times.
Hard-working forklift driver and Army veteran Sal Shabazz was as all-American as they come.
Sal was a very nice guy, a cool person, easy to get along with.
He had integrity, he was kind, he was honest.
And he was raising 4 children with the love of his life, his wife, Danielle.
She was someone that he felt that he could build something with, build a life with, build a family with.
But now, police are at Sal and Danielle's home in response to a desperate 911 call.
Danielle, she's on the phone with her husband, and he hears a knock at the door, and the next thing she hears are these bangs.
Sal! Sal!
She knows in her gut something's wrong.
When police enter the home, they discover that Danielle was right to fear the worst.
Sal's lying on the floor in a pool of blood. He was bleeding from multiple gunshot wounds.
He was pronounced dead at the scene.
When homicide detectives arrive, they start their investigation by examining Sal's body.
He's been shot 2 times in the torso, twice in the head, execution style.
Near the body, homicide detectives find 4 shell casings lying on the floor.
They then took those casings and sent them off to ballistics to be tested.
Ballistics could eventually lead detectives to the murder weapon, but there's little at the scene to suggest the killer's motive.
A thorough search of the home shows that there was nothing disturbed, which ruled out the potential for robbery.
This was deliberate. This was intentional.
The question was, why target Sal?
Looking for answers, the detectives canvassed the neighborhood.
Officers talked to neighbors and asked them if they had any information.
None of the neighbors reported seeing anything suspicious.
Everybody was asleep at the time of the crime.
But the canvass could still provide some crucial information.
How you doing? Hey, the neighbor across the street had a doorbell camera.
Doorbells have been used in cases across the country to assist in getting information to police.
With the homeowner, detectives review the doorbell cam surveillance footage.
This video shows a black SUV which pulls up at 2 in the morning.
A shadowy black figure gets out of the SUV and then walks up to Sal's house.
Sal opened the door. They had an exchange of words.
Then the figure at the door pulled out a gun and started shooting.
The shooting played out exactly as Danielle described.
The video also appears to confirm that Sal's murder was a targeted hit.
The suspect jumps back in the SUV and he peels off with the headlights turned off.
This was strictly about killing this person.
But confirmation of how it happened doesn't get detectives any closer to solving the case.
They can't make out the person or the license plate number.
With no other leads, investigators turn to the closest thing to a witness they have.
Investigators' next move is to speak to the person who was on the phone when it happened, Danielle.
The officers sent a cruiser to pick Danielle up and bring her in to see if she could offer any additional information as to what happened to her husband.
We're sorry for your loss.
When Danielle sits down with detectives, it appears that she is still in shock.
This is a tough situation. Danielle just lost her husband, but police have to do their job.
Detectives ask Danielle to start by walking them through the events leading up to her call to 911.
We were just saying goodnight, and everything was just fine until someone knocked on the door.
Hold on, someone's at the door.
She said he goes to the door, he answers it. She hears a conversation.
Sal.
And she hears what sounds like gunshots, and then the phone goes silent.
She just doesn't know what to do at that point.
However, Danielle does know one thing.
Do you have any idea who was at the door?
She does not hesitate to give them an answer.
There's no question in her mind who did this. No question.
It's this woman that works with me, Tashara Jackson.
Sal Shabazz's wife, Danielle, has just told detectives who she thinks gunned down the 39-year-old Army veteran in the foyer of their Newport News, Virginia home.
Sal! Sal!
Danielle tells investigators that she is convinced that Tashara Jackson, who was a fellow co-worker at the post office, is responsible for her husband's death.
What makes you think she was involved?
Tashara and I have been having problems.
She and Tashara have been going back and forth in a feud that began over a dispute at work.
What sort of problems?
I don't even know. It's just like we don't get along.
And according to Danielle, things had recently escalated.
She wanted to Tashara at the nail salon.
Well, well, well.
And I guess they have words.
I don't know what you looking at, so you need to put those eyeballs back in your head.
Her and Tashara got into a huge argument outside of the nail salon.
She did admit that while Tashara was getting her nails done, that she in fact slashed her tires.
You slashed Tashara tires?
I know I shouldn't have, but I just got so mad.
And things only got worse from there.
A few days later, according to Danielle, Tashara retaliated.
It was my birthday, and Sal took me to Vegas for the weekend.
When she got back, her car was vandalized.
Someone had spray painted the vehicle, slashed every single tire, and stuck a candy bar in her gas tank.
She knew exactly who it was. She knew that Tashara was behind it.
She didn't call the police, but she just didn't let it go either.
Danielle said the night of the murder, they went to go confront Tashara.
Sal went with you?
Yeah.
He only goes to protect her.
According to Danielle, the confrontation occurred outside a local restaurant.
Oh, there you are. Yeah, right on time. Come and get it. Come and get it. Because you can't mind your business. What you gonna do about it?
They get to scrapping, Tashara and Danielle. They're going at it.
Danielle says she was gaining the upper hand when Tashara threatened to take things to the next level.
While she beating Tashara down, Tashara hollers out, grab my pistol out of her car.
That's when Sal and Danielle decided it was time to go.
You guys left?
Yeah, we jumped in the car and we got out of there.
However, Danielle says she was afraid of what would happen next.
She felt like Tashara was going to retaliate.
So she grabs the girls, goes to a hotel.
She just felt that it was safer.
Sal didn't go to the hotel with you?
I tried to get him to come with us, but he wouldn't listen.
He wants to protect his house, protect his home. He doesn't know what's going to happen next.
What's your favorite subject?
But he just wants to make sure that they have a home to come back to.
Doing everything she could.
You guys want to play a game?
I'm gonna protect this
She's
house. Okay?
dedicated to her children. Being a man,
She shows
he's
them
gonna
that.
stand his ground. If anybody comes up in here, they're gonna have to deal with me.
What's your favorite subject?
A few hours later, Sal was dead.
Which is why Danielle is so sure that Tashara killed him.
But while Danielle is certain, the detectives aren't so sure.
Why would this work feud escalate to where somebody is now dead?
It raises questions as Danielle trying to throw the detectives off to look in a different direction.
To rule her out definitively, detectives ask Danielle to submit to a GSR test.
It isn't uncommon in a murder to look at the spouse first.
They did do gunshot residue analysis just to make sure that she wasn't the shooter.
Based on the neighbor's door cam, though, the shooter wasn't a woman.
They are looking for a black male.
If she were not the trigger person, gunshot residue can be transferred very easily.
While they wait for the results, detectives move on to the only other lead they have, Tashara Jackson. But when she sits down for questioning the following morning, they're surprised by what they find.
She's the opposite of what Danielle portrays her as.
Tashara, based on Danielle's account, is evil, vindictive, but Tashara was in fact a loving, nurturing, church-going person with no criminal record, no violent history.
And according to Tashara, that's not the only thing contrary to what Danielle led them to believe.
Once detectives sit down with Tashara, they begin to hear a very different side of the feud between Tashara and Danielle.
Let me just tell you, she's crazy.
Tashara tells detectives that it is in fact Danielle who has been the instigator in this feud.
What supposedly triggered the feud is what really raised red flags for the detectives.
Tashara tells investigators feud began when she found out that Danielle was having an affair with another one of their co-workers.
Danielle Shabazz told detectives investigating her husband's murder that she was certain her co-worker Tashara Jackson was responsible.
Danielle and Tashara work at the post office together, but over the past month or so, they've been having this feud.
But according to Tashara, Danielle hadn't told detectives the whole story.
Tashara reveals to detectives that Danielle was having an affair.
His name is Rob Barnes. He works with us at the post office.
That co-worker happens to be the husband of Tashara's best friend.
According to Tashara, the feud started because she was not happy that Danielle was sleeping with her best friend's husband.
Tashara felt like Danielle was the one who escalated the entire feud when she took it upon herself to slash her tires at the nail shop.
Is that when you trashed her car?
I never touched her car.
She makes it clear that she would have never attempted to hurt her and she would not have killed her husband.
Then who did?
You need to ask Danielle. She's the one who's been cheating.
Tashara is pointing the finger at Danielle, and Danielle is pointing the finger at Tashara.
However, if Danielle is having an affair, that could give her motive to get rid of her husband.
They knew that she didn't pull the trigger, but could she have possibly had her lover do it?
To determine if Tashara is telling the truth, detectives pulled Danielle's phone records.
The detectives were able to confirm that she was, in fact, having an affair with Rob Barnes.
They find hundreds of very sexually explicit text messages between Danielle and Rob.
But as steamy as the affair was, it didn't appear to be a mere fling.
Danielle and Rob were exchanging I love you text messages.
They potentially want to be together now.
Could that have led to Sal's murder?
Or did Danielle have another reason to get rid of her husband?
When detectives dug into Danielle's past, they found out that her perfect marriage may have not been so perfect after all.
Records show that Danielle had taken out a protective order against Sal. Danielle told investigators that Sal had headbutted her after finding messages between Danielle and another man in her phone.
But when investigators talked to people who knew the couple, it sounds more like Danielle might not be so innocent.
He and Danielle had a very, very toxic relationship.
In fact, the problem started well before they were ever married.
For their senior prom, he took another young lady and Danielle sliced the tires on the car.
It was the same thing that Danielle did to Tashara years later.
According to Sal's mother, similar incidents occurred throughout the couple's relationship.
Once she was mad at Sal, she took all his clothes and put them in a pile and poured bleach on them.
By 2021, the marriage appeared all but over.
They were talking about separating, but he did not want to leave his kids. I used to tell Sal to make the necessary sacrifices to try to keep his family together for the sake of his girls.
But for all of Sal's reasons to stick things out, detectives soon learned that Danielle had potentially one big reason to want him gone.
Sal had a $156,000 life insurance policy.
The beneficiary is Danielle.
If Danielle is having this affair, the motive would be if I can get rid of my husband, collect on his policy, me and Rob Barnes got a couple extra dollars.
But an affair and a six-figure insurance policy still aren't enough to prove that Danielle was involved in her husband's death.
Nothing that the officers have is a nail in the coffin, but it damn sure didn't look good.
It did give detectives a little leverage, though.
Armed with what they've learned, detectives bring Danielle in for another round of questioning.
They immediately asked Danielle if she had any issues in her marriage to Sal.
What do you mean?
She told them they were fine, they were in a happy marriage.
She also disputes that she was messing around with Rob Barnes.
We're friends. We work together. That's all.
What she didn't know is investigators already saw the text messages.
Danielle finally concedes, yes, she was having an affair.
But it's not what you think.
She insists she had nothing to do with Sal's death.
Danielle tells detectives that she and Sal may not have had the perfect relationship, but she would have never wanted to hurt him.
She also informed the officers that she didn't even know about the life insurance policy until after he was dead.
Not that her denials do anything to relieve the detectives' suspicions.
She withheld vital information.
Still doesn't give investigators enough to charge her with anything.
However, there's also one piece of vital information that detectives have withheld from Danielle.
The gunshot residue test that was performed on Danielle during her first interview came back.
Danielle tested positive for gunshot residue.
Danielle, you tested positive for GSR.
How you gonna explain that?
When detectives investigating her husband's murder confronted Danielle Shabazz about the affair she was having with a coworker, the mother of four admitted that she'd been unfaithful.
While she finally owned up to the affair, she kept insisting she had nothing to do with her husband's murder.
Investigators find what Danielle is saying hard to believe.
Because detectives have recently received results from the gunshot residue test they conducted on Danielle just hours after the shooting.
And these results revealed that Danielle did in fact have residue on her hands.
When detectives confront Danielle with this information, she is genuinely stunned.
How you gonna explain that?
I did not shoot a gun that night. I swear.
Danielle is like, I have no idea where that came from.
And based on the evidence, it wasn't Danielle who shot Sal 4 times just inside the couple's front door.
They know that a man killed Sal.
If you go back to that video footage from the doorbell video, it definitely was a man who pulled the trigger.
But does that mean Danielle wasn't involved?
Detectives theorize that Danielle may have recruited her lover Rob to do the murder.
And when Danielle and her lover connected at a later point, that gunshot residue could have been transferred by the holding of hands or touching something that the trigger man touched.
Could that explain how gunshot residue ended up on Danielle's hands?
That's not the only possible explanation.
She could have gotten the residue on her hands in an innocent way.
It could have happened when she rode to the police station in the police cruiser.
Which means the gunshot residue alone is not enough to make an arrest.
All of that is just a theory rooted in speculation. And investigators will have to have more evidence before they are able to move forward with any murder charges.
And while Danielle and Rob's cell phone records provide plenty of evidence of an affair, that's all detectives are able to find.
They look through their text exchanges, and they don't have any evidence of any back and forth about plotting to kill Sal.
Police also found that there was no evidence in their phone records that had them reaching out to a third party to hire the hit.
In fact, the cell phone records appear to exonerate both Danielle and her lover.
When detectives pulled their GPS locations at the time of the murder, they hit a stumbling block.
Rob nor Danielle were even in the area based on the data from the phone records.
She was nowhere close, nor was Rob.
Does that mean Danielle and her lover are innocent? Or does it mean they're smart?
Maybe Rob left his phone at home on purpose. And Danielle made that phone call to Sal from the hotel so the cops couldn't place her at the scene.
Either way, the detectives are no closer to solving Sal's murder.
They just don't have enough evidence.
They didn't have a choice other than to continue with the investigation.
So detectives decide to take a second look at Tashara Jackson, the co-worker Danielle named as Sal's killer.
Just to rule her out, the detectives pulled Tashara's cell phone records.
Although instead of ruling Tashara out, the detectives make a surprising discovery.
GPS evidence puts Tashara in close proximity to the scene of the killing, at the time of the killing.
The records don't put her at the scene of the crime, but the reason why also arouses suspicion.
Tashara's phone was turned off only moments before the murder.
It wasn't turned back on until several hours after.
This is a stunning revelation for police. Maybe Danielle was right from the beginning, and Tashara did have something to do with Sal's murder.
However, there is still one piece of the puzzle missing.
They know that Sal was shot by a man.
She must have been waiting in the car when it happened, but who could it have been that got out of the car and actually pulled the trigger?
Digging through Tashara's phone records, the detectives soon come up with a possible answer.
In the weeks leading up to the murder, Tashara had been communicating regularly with another man who also worked at the post office.
His name is Jeremy Petway.
And they weren't talking about mail. They were having an affair.
Which is wild, considering Danielle's workplace affair is what started the feud with Tashara.
All these people sleeping around. What the heck they had going on in that post office?
Based on the text messages, Tashara's affair with Jeremy was just as hot and heavy as Danielle's tryst with Rob.
Nude photos had been sent, and the conversation even included how good their sex was. They also discussed leaving their partners and being together.
And much more important for detectives, that's not all the lovers discussed.
There are text messages where Tashara is telling Mr. Petway that she appreciates him looking out for her.
Jeremy takes back that he was the protector.
They have this exchange about being Bonnie and Clyde.
Detectives investigating the murder of 39-year-old Sal Shabazz were all but convinced that his wife Danielle was behind his death. But new information has just turned the case on its head.
Cell phone records put Danielle's co-worker, Tashara Jackson, and Tashara's lover, Jeremy Petway, near the scene where the murder occurred.
Danielle had been pointing the finger at Tashara from the beginning.
She and this co-worker had some sort of a feud or rivalry.
Based on Tashara and Jeremy's text, Danielle was right about Tashara all along.
Although Tashara and Jeremy do not openly admit to killing Sal Shabazz, the implications are clear. In the days following the shooting, Tashara told Jeremy, "You didn't hesitate."
And he calls them Bonnie and Clyde.
To detectives, it is clear that they are gloating about their crime.
And one of Jeremy's last text messages leaves little doubt they're responsible for Sal's death.
Jeremy tells Tashara, "I gave the gun to one of our friends at work."
Detectives assumed they're texting about the murder weapon.
Investigators quickly follow up on what they've learned from the phone records.
Investigators got a warrant to search the home of the friend that Jeremy mentioned in the text message.
Police show up to this person's house.
Who else is in the house with you?
And as luck would have it, Jeremy is also there.
Jeremy, step outside. You're under arrest. Put your hands behind your back.
The police place Jeremy under arrest and search the house.
Upstairs under the friend's bed, detectives find the handgun.
The officers send the gun straight to ballistics to be tested. And when the results came back, it was indeed the weapon that was used to kill Sal.
It's just slam dunk in the mind of the investigators.
Detectives also take Tashara into custody.
She asks for an attorney and refuses to make a statement.
And at the police station, Jeremy insists that the only relationship they have is as co-workers.
But Jeremy's denials and Tashara's silence do little to deter the detectives.
Even without their confessions, police are ready to charge them with first-degree murder.
Newport News police did their job, and they did it well.
Despite everyone suspecting Danielle, the arrest couldn't have happened without her.
She was a big help because she was on the phone when it all happened.
She was also the person to first put the police on to Tashara.
But when Tashara Jackson goes on trial in March of 2022, it's also clear that her feud with Danielle led directly to Sal's death.
All of this started with Tashara not being happy about Danielle having an affair with her best friend's husband.
The disagreement escalated when Tashara and Danielle got into the argument in front of the nail salon. Danielle slashed Tashara's tires.
To retaliate, Tashara vandalized Danielle's car.
And things only escalated from there.
That led to the beatdown that Danielle gave Tashara in the restaurant parking lot.
For Tashara, it was the last straw.
She wanted to end this feud once and for all.
prosecutors lay out how after that altercation at the restaurant, Tashara calls her friend, Jeremy.
Now, we need to get this girl. We're gonna get her.
That begins the murder plot that ultimately ends in the death of Sal.
Just bring the car and bring the gun.
And early on the morning of April 7th, just hours after the parking lot showdown, Tashara and Jeremy set their plan in motion.
Using their phone records, prosecutors was able to show that Jeremy went to pick Tashara up.
Then, as they neared Danielle and Sal's house, Jeremy and Tashara turned off their phones.
She turns her cell phone off.
Nicht aus der 24 Stunden.
Investigators can go back and see that you turned it off just before this man got killed.
But the neighbor's doorbell cam captured what happened next.
Jeremy got out of the car and went up to Danielle and Sal's front door.
They intended to shoot her, but they didn't know she wasn't at home.
They had no idea that Danielle had taken the children to the hotel.
So?
Instead, it was Sal who answered the door.
Yeah, I heard you got a problem with Tashara.
Man, we know what happened.
What are you talking about? Well, don't even worry about it.
Had Danielle answered the door, she would have been the one who was killed.
Then Jeremy ditched the gun with a friend, and when detectives brought her in for questioning, Tashara used the affair to turn suspicion towards Danielle.
Then who did?
You need to ask Danielle. She's the one who's been cheating.
They thought they had it all figured out.
But the defense can't explain away Tashara's phone records.
With the text messages, there's no doubt left that this is what happened.
Even though they did not have confessions, they did not have eyewitnesses, they had enough evidence that when you put it all together, it painted one very ugly picture.
Would it be enough to convince the jury?
The jury finds Tashara guilty after less than an hour of deliberation.
And Jeremy meets the same fate.
Jeremy is convicted following his own trial.
They were both sentenced to 39 years in prison.
Tashara's lawyer tried to argue the fact that, well, since he pulled the trigger, maybe we can get her less time. The judge said, nope, she gonna get the same time as he got.
Even though the family of the deceased wanted life without parole, they were satisfied with the verdict.
I think about the number of families that don't get justice. I'll take 39 years, it's better than nothing.
But no amount of time can make up for the injustice done to Saladin Shabazz.
This was a man who served his country. This was a man who was married to the love of his life. And even though they had issues and problems, the thing that should have ended their marriage was divorce, not death.
The pain of losing my child will never go away. You mourn for that for the rest.
The lure of the bright city lights are appealing.
She was eager to start college. She was definitely going places.
But her dreams wouldn't get far.
They told us that she had been shot. I was shocked. I didn't believe it. I just fell out onto the ground.
It hurts, man. That's our only daughter.
Was she a random victim of urban violence?
It was maybe a drive-by shooting or something along those lines.
The city does have a gang problem.
Was the big city simply more than she could handle?
She was naive in a sense.
There can be this sort of adrenaline rush.
Or did this small-town girl have secrets?
Well, what happens when the good girl meets the bad boy? She was gonna end up in jail or hurt really bad.
You ain't gonna shoot?
Mississippi, a town of 50,000 that's about as close as Southeast Mississippi comes to a big city.
Hattiesburg is actually the 5th largest city in the state.
Life in Mississippi is pretty similar to like other rural southern states. People are very family-oriented.
People know everybody. In some of these small towns, you can leave your doors unlocked. You know, leave your windows open.
But Hattiesburg isn't like most of rural Mississippi. And a little before noon that Sunday, 27-year-old Tracy Bullock makes a panicked call to Lamar County 911.
Hello, 911, what's your emergency?
Yes, my
Tracy stated that his girlfriend was shot.
Where is she shot?
She got shot in the head.
He said that they need to hurry up because she needed attention.
I'll send first responders to you now.
When a call comes in to 911, there's a shooting or a robbery or something that's happening right then and there, it becomes a code 1, a priority. So they try to get officers there as fast as they can.
But will they get there in time to save 19-year-old Davisha Harris?
Hurry, please, hurry, she's bleeding. Hey, Bishop.
Before moving to Hattiesburg, Davisha Harris spent most of her life in tiny Gloucester, Mississippi. Population, 897.
The town has got like 8, 9 stop signs and no red lights.
We have just one grocery store. We have maybe 3 gas stations, and that's it.
The third of 4 children, Davisha was the only daughter.
All of them spoiled, but Davisha was the spoilest, I do believe. She would probably get maybe more gifts than the other kids. Her mother, Tasha, my wife, you know, always say it's daddy's girl. Yeah, that's daddy's girl, but when it comes down to my wife, anywhere my wife went, she was right along with her. Or she was gonna fall out crying because she couldn't go.
Davisha and I, we were very close. Pretty much we could talk about anything. She could come to me with anything.
She was always a happy-go-lucky young lady. Just beautiful inside and out.
And nearly everyone in their tiny town agreed.
She was very popular among her peers. Even adults knew Davisha in the community. She knew the grandmother, she knew the mother, she knew the cousins, even the out-of-town relatives, people that we didn't even know existed. Davisha knew them.
Davisha was the type of person, you go down the road, she allowed to let the window down and over the car door, hey, Lucy! That's the type of person she was, all over town.
She was a person that saw the beauty in everyone.
But what Davisha enjoyed most was making others laugh.
She was the jokester of the family, life of the party. She actually won class clown in her senior year.
You can't even get mad at her because as soon as you look at her, I bust out laughing. That was our relationship.
But despite her vibrant personality, Davisha was anything but worldly.
Davisha's parents sheltered her in a lot of ways.
Davisha rarely went anywhere. If she did, it was usually with me. She got a little older, we gave her a little room, but it wasn't very much.
She was not allowed to date while in high school.
Which may explain why after graduation, Davisha couldn't wait to go out on her own.
She was supposed to leave in August to go to community college here in Hattiesburg, but she came to me and her dad actually maybe 2 days after she graduated and said she wanted to go to summer school. I think she graduated May the 20th, and she left on May the 31st from home to Hattiesburg.
And once she was in the big city of Hattiesburg, there was no looking back.
Gloucester is like 900 people compared to 50,000 people in a town like Hattiesburg. For people like Davisha, who grow up in small towns like that, the lure of the bright city lights are appealing.
She was a small town girl looking to start her life as an independent adult just to see what the big city has to offer.
Davisha quickly came into her own.
She enjoyed going to college and working at a call center. She did well in both. She was a productive citizen. She was.
She also had big plans for her future.
Her mom is a nurse, so she always talked about being a nurse, following in her mom's footsteps. She was planning on transferring into the nursing program. She was definitely going places.
And she wasn't going alone. By the time she started her second year in college, she'd met Tracy Bullock.
It was her first serious romantic relationship.
She actually met him through a friend she met while attending college.
He was older and wasn't a student.
So what you going to school for?
I want to be a nurse like my mom.
He was very charismatic, charming.
And he was more than happy to show Davisha around town.
That was a sense of relief, like I'm not going through this alone. I find this guy that I've connected with and can kind of navigate life with, and that made her happy.
But no amount of guidance could steer Davisha clear of danger.
In a frantic call to 911, Tracy said Davisha's been shot.
Hurry, please, hurry, she's bleeding.
First responders race to the scene. But there's little they can do for Davisha.
Police! Police! Help! Out of your hand!
They found the victim with apparent gunshot wound to the head.
When they checked her vitals, Davisha was already dead.
She's gone.
Just a tragedy, tragedy.
And according to Tracy, it was completely random.
He said a vehicle was driving through and actually shot up the apartment.
They was just shooting up the place.
He was saying that it could have potentially been gang violence.
Start college and get a job, and she did both when she moved here to Hattiesburg.
She also entered her first serious relationship with 27-year-old Tracy Bullock.
That was a lot of new transitions for a young person. And so to have someone that was older, much more experienced, made her happy.
But on October 15th, 2017, her young life, so full of promise, would end in tragedy.
Lamar County Sheriff Office received a call from 911.
Yes, my girlfriend just...
Tracy called to say that Davisha had just been shot.
Hurry, please, hurry, she's bleeding.
By the time police arrived, she was already dead.
She's gone.
News of Davisha's murder quickly reaches her family.
My son called and said that her neighbor had messaged him through Facebook and told him that Davisha had been shot. And by the time I got up, he was calling right back and saying she was gone. She was dead. And at that point, I just fell out onto the ground.
While Davisha's family rushes to the apartment for answers, homicide detectives arrive at the scene and start to piece together what happened.
They had the victim, who of course suffered from an apparent gunshot wound, so they know the firearm was involved, but there was none at the scene. That makes it a little more difficult because you want to have that murder weapon.
They do locate Davisha's cell phone, however.
The phone was protected by a passcode.
They bagged and sent it to the crime lab so they could hopefully gain access to whatever was in the phone.
Sometimes that takes a little while to break into it.
Then, once their brief survey of the scene is complete, detectives turn to Davisha's boyfriend, Tracy, who was waiting outside the apartment.
He had been waiting in the back of the squad car ever since the first officers arrived on the scene.
As a detective, the first thing you want to do is talk to witnesses.
They told me she was dead.
I'm sorry, sir.
Do you want to tell us what happened?
Yes, I saw the whole thing.
He said he heard tires squeal, and when he looked out the window, he saw a car coming down the street.
The passenger window rolled down, but I didn't see a gun.
However, according to Tracy, he did hear the shots.
Somebody was doing a drive-by shooting.
Could you see who was in the vehicle?
No. I didn't see anybody.
Do you have a license plate number?
No. Soon as they started shooting, I hit the floor.
For detectives, it sounds like an all too familiar scenario.
Despite being a city of less than 50,000, Hattiesburg does have a gang problem.
It's kind of the central location between Mobile, Jackson, and New Orleans.
A lot of the drug trafficking between those larger cities passes through Hattiesburg.
But if this was a drive-by, who was the intended target?
Davisha was not one to be known for running around with gangs or any kind of criminal behavior.
She was a good girl, going to college.
Was she simply in the wrong place at the wrong time? Or was she with the wrong person?
While detectives were talking to Tracy, officers ran a search on his name in police records.
In doing interviews with witnesses, it's common to want to check their background just to see who you're talking to.
When the officer enters his name into the computer, something pops.
He was wanted on a warrant in Macomb, from where he originally from.
They were looking for him anyway.
Hey, detectives. You're aware you got a warrant out for your arrest? Trans, mind your
What
back.
you doing? He was arrested on the scene for violation of probation.
Detectives figured it was a way to keep tabs on him until they fully understood his involvement in the shooting.
The squad car carrying Tracy into custody has barely pulled away when Davisha's parents arrive on the scene.
My baby!
He was gone by the time we got there, and I tried to make my way into the apartment to see my daughter, but they wouldn't let me.
They stopped us. They didn't want us to go in the apartment.
You try to be compassionate and explain to them that you're going to do everything that you can, and hopefully you can get to some answers at the end of the day, but it's still tough.
Once I figured out how bad it was, I'm glad I didn't. I didn't want to see my daughter like that, the situation where it was.
I want to remember like she was, you know.
At the scene, detectives try to interview Davisha's parents, but they're too distraught for a formal statement.
Emotionally, it was tough because that's our only daughter.
No parents expect to outlive your children. No one expects to have to bury their child.
But when Davisha's oldest brother arrives at the apartment, he agrees to speak with police.
Where's Tracy?
The first thing he asked is, where's Tracy?
We have him in custody.
They had arrested Tracy at that time under other charges, though.
She'll be trying for murder.
Why is that?
He was not too fond of Tracy.
In fact, Davisha's brother said he'd had a tense encounter with Tracy just a few weeks earlier.
I wish he'd have whooped his ass.
Gating her murder, that he wouldn't be surprised if her boyfriend, Tracy Bullock, had something to do with it.
At this point, police already had Tracy in custody, but that arrest had nothing to do with the murder investigation.
He was arrested for a warrant that he had out.
However, detectives suspect Tracy may have been the true target of Davisha's killer.
She died in what Tracy described as a drive-by shooting.
Why do you think he's involved?
The guy's bad news.
Although, according to Davisha's brother, he'd only met Tracy once.
It was just 2 weeks before the murder.
He had a cell phone charger that Davisha wanted to borrow.
He lives in Hattiesburg as well, and he was gonna take her charger.
He just went to her home just to see if she was there to drop it off.
That's when Davisha's brother noticed their mother's car in the parking lot.
She had borrowed my car because we had to change a flat out on her car.
She'd gotten a flat while she was back home in Gloucester over the weekend.
Being such a small town, there wasn't no repair shop there to take care of it, so we just switched cars to let her come back to Hattiesburg to come to school and work.
But when her brother noticed someone was smoking in the car, he was furious.
He's wondering what's going on when he saw this stranger sitting in his mother's car smoking marijuana.
He was sitting in the car smoking dope, chilling with the air on like he owned it.
My oldest son, he actually recorded, sitting in the car with the windows up and stuff, and he sent us a picture back to tell us what the guy was doing in the car, and he wasn't pleased with it.
Oh! What are you doing?
So Davisha's brother confronted Tracy.
Not that he knew who Tracy was at the time.
No one in the family knew about the relationship.
None of us had met him officially, met him, so we didn't know his name, He opened the door and asked him to get out the car and asked him what was he doing, smoking marijuana and music up loud, blasting.
Who the hell are you? This is my mom's car. Well, you best to get the run into her.
When we got him out of it, the dude still was kind of disrespectful.
He got out of the car and proclaimed that it was his girlfriend's car. He can do whatever he wants to do.
That's how we found out who he was.
I don't care who you are. Don't be smoking in my mom's car. You gonna make me?
He and my oldest son did have some words.
Tracy, it's okay. It's okay.
In the midst of those words, that Bishop came and got in between them.
I don't know. She didn't want to see his brother go to jail or was in love with this fool. I don't know.
Davisha's brother says he'd let it go.
I guess since he's my sister's boyfriend, he kind of had permission.
Before he left, he did have a word with his sister.
That brother was, hey, sister, are you sure this is what you want?
The behavior that my son has saw that wasn't acceptable to any of us, you know.
He was smoking weed and, you know, doing the things that they didn't care to be around.
I'm not a baby anymore.
I know.
I can look after myself. Go inside.
That Bishop felt like that he just didn't want her with anybody, you know, but that wasn't the case, you know, in that scenario. That wasn't the case. It was what he was doing.
So that's why you think he had something to do with it?
Yeah.
It was just a hunch.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, something ain't right.
Detectives don't entirely disagree, but their suspicion of Tracy is based on something more concrete than him smoking marijuana or being disrespectful to Davisha's brother.
Despite Tracy's claim that Davisha was killed in a drive-by, there was no evidence to support that.
There were no bullet holes, no shell casings, not a single one.
It didn't make any sense.
He didn't even try to even come up with a plausible lie.
Death wasn't due to a drive-by shooting, as her boyfriend Tracy Bullock claimed.
There were no bullet holes in the couple's apartment building.
Detectives couldn't find any shell casings in the street either.
When they canvassed the neighbors, none of them said anything about a car driving through and shooting things up.
The evidence don't support that there was any kind of drive-by.
Which means that Tracy has some explaining to do.
From the crime scene, detectives head back to the county jail, where Tracy is waiting in a holding cell.
Detectives had already taken him into custody for an outstanding warrant.
When confronted with the inconsistencies between his drive-by story and the conditions at the crime scene, Tracy admits that he'd lied.
Okay, man, it wasn't no drive-by shooting. It wasn't, okay?
Well, why'd you say it was?
Because I know how y'all work.
He didn't tell the truth because he had this distrust for the police.
Mississippi has its fair share of challenges as it relates to racial issues around policing.
Okay, so who shot her then?
I don't know.
Tracy says that instead of a drive-by, it had all started with a knock at their door.
You expecting somebody?
No.
He said that when he opened the door, there was a man on their doorstep with a gun.
Tracy said he ducked and slammed the door.
And the shooter didn't try to come in?
No. He must have ran off.
The way Tracy told the story, it sounded like someone tried to put a hit out on him.
But according to Tracy, the would-be hitman missed their target.
Davisha! Oh my God.
But you don't know who the shooter was?
Dude had a hoodie on.
Detectives aren't sure if he's lying about the shooter's identity.
Given his criminal record, there may be a connection that Tracy doesn't want the detectives digging into.
Or is it simply his drive-by shooting story all over again?
The passenger window rolled down, but I didn't see a gun.
The police catch him in the lie. His story changes. Okay, somebody came to the door, knocked on the door, and he was shooting at me, but it was nothing to substantiate that.
The next day, when detectives finally sit down with Davisha's parents, they have no doubt that Tracy is lying about the mysterious hitman.
They saw the red flags. They had the concerns in the weeks, the months leading up to her death. And so for them, it was like, no, we know who is responsible.
So, what sort of red flags?
Well, first of all, her finances, for one thing.
When she get paid on Fridays, she'll provide everything she needed up to the time for her to get paid again. But we noticed where she would come home on Fridays, she wouldn't have money to get back to Hattiesburg on Sunday.
When you taking food out, I'll freeze the refrigerator, take it back. Like, I mean, you working, why you need all this here?
She didn't respond at all, She didn't have anything much to say.
But the answer became clear a couple of weeks before the homicide.
That's when Davisha's brother found out she had a boyfriend.
We still didn't know his name at that point, but he was sitting in my car, smoking marijuana with the windows up, with the music on loud.
It didn't give her parents a good impression of Tracy.
They got to figure that, he was using her.
She started saying, I want you to meet him, and that's when I started questioning her about who is he, where does he work? And when she gave me those answers, I told her I wouldn't be interested in it because he was much older than she was, and he didn't have a job, so I'm not interested.
Just meet him. I know you'll like him. I don't think so.
Mom! He didn't fit the standards of what we had raised her for, and what we had raised her around and what her dad showed her what a man was supposed to be. That's what I told her up front.
I told her, Davisha, I don't like him, I don't like what he's doing.
There wasn't the kind of boyfriend that she would want to get involved with. There was going to be one or two things, trouble where she was going to end up in jail with him, by being caught by the police or being hurt really bad.
Mom, I knew you would say that.
I think she knew I wasn't going to be pleased with it.
It may have also been what attracted Davisha to a bad boy like Tracy in the first place.
She was naive in a sense because we had sheltered her so much. She hadn't been introduced to any of those things.
Young ladies that have been somewhat sheltered for so long, when they get a taste of freedom, that appeal of being with someone that I know my parents would not necessarily approve of can be very captivating. And so there can be this sort of adrenaline rush, or there can be this sort of thrill, whether it's the healthiest decision or not.
But while her parents didn't approve of Tracy, they tell detectives they didn't push Davisha to end the relationship.
I knew if I'd have stayed and harped on the situation, it was just gonna push her closer to him. So I was trying to give her the time to see what was going on, wake up to what was going on.
Despite that, as her father predicted, Davisha had continued to see Tracy.
I think it strengthened their relationship at the time, and it actually became a us against them. I think that was the turning point in why he felt so comfortable with some of the behaviors that he demonstrated thereafter, because he had psychological control and emotional control over her at that point.
And now that Davisha is dead, her parents are convinced that they'd been right about Tracy.
Those parents did, I'm sure, what they thought was best at the time. Again, there were red flags.
I was considering death by somebody else hurting her, being caught up in crossfire with him some kind of way, It never came to me as him actually killing her.
But now you think he did.
Yes.
But why would he do that?
Because she finally came to her senses. She wanted to leave him.
I believe she told him that his honey hole is dried up. It's time for him to go.
They think Bullock was not willing to accept rejection, and he took things to the extreme.
I think that's exactly what happened. I go to the grave with that.
It's a compelling theory. Only there's one problem.
There was no evidence that Tracy had been violent or threatening toward Davisha.
But that all changes when the crime lab finally cracks the passcode on Davisha's phone.
She had everything in her phone with the ARG and everything else that was going on.
Hey, come here.
It's an indication that she knew that this was an issue. She knew that, this is an unsafe situation.
Look at this.
because one video taken less than 48 hours before the murder showed Tracy with a gun.
It was Friday night, pointing it toward her, you know.
You ain't gonna shoot?
Bullock on Davisha's phone.
They found a video with Mr. Bullock pointing a gun at the victim.
Davisha had recorded the video less than 48 hours before her murder. This absolutely demonstrates someone who was incredibly reckless, careless, impulsive, and honestly had no regard for Davisha's life. Even if the intent in that moment was not to pull the trigger, to put the gun in her face, that was an act to intimidate, an act to really incite fear.
But does that mean he'd eventually follow through on his threat?
Davisha's parents believe Tracy killed her because she told him she was going to leave him.
I believe she actually woke up and seen the light. She stepped to him and told him it was over, get, gone, where you gonna go or whatever.
When someone decides to leave an abusive relationship, that's when things are most dangerous. For many abusers, experiencing that sense of lack of control can feel incredibly threatening for them. And that's when we see the lashing out. That's when we see the very impulsive behaviors, things becoming physical, things becoming violent and aggressive.
Did that explain why Davisha recorded the incident?
She could have been thinking about needing evidence or documentation for a potential restraining order. Like if she had made up in her mind that this is it, I have to end this relationship. She could have been thinking very future focused. I'm going to have to put some things in place legally to protect myself. That's the first thing that comes to mind when I think about the fact that she had video.
Was it too little too late? For the moment, detectives are still far from proving it.
The case against Tracy was entirely circumstantial.
But it does get stronger when detectives receive the results of Davisha's autopsy and confirm the cause of death.
According to the medical examiner, it was a close contact wound to the head.
There's some stippling around the wound.
Stippling is where unburnt powder strikes the skin around the gunshot wound.
That tells them that it was up close and personal.
Which isn't how Tracy described the shooting in his second statement.
He said Davisha was some distance behind him when he ducked out of the would-be assassin's way.
After the autopsy was done, all of those things just proved to be untrue.
Most important for investigators, the autopsy also recovers the bullet that killed Davisha.
If they can find a weapon, they can use that ballistic evidence to match it back to that gun.
The caliber of the bullet appeared to be from the same gun that Tracy had in the video, but without ballistics testing, detectives couldn't prove it was the same gun.
They can solve this case possibly with the circumstantial evidence that they have, but there's nothing like cold hard evidence, that smoking gun, so that's what they need to find.
Until they do, all Davisha's family can do is wait and gather to say goodbye.
The homegoing celebration, it was more people there that I'd never seen before in my life. I mean, the church was full.
I think our church at that time held like 400 or 500. It was full. We had chairs down the aisle.
There was not a seat vacant for anybody. Like, it was a full house. There were people in the aisles. There were people standing up in the back of the church.
And that just showed me that she was well loved and well respected. Only 19 years old, they have all these type of people showing up.
The outpouring of love for Davisha is little solace, knowing that the man they believe is her killer is yet to be charged with murder.
The amount of frustration and just pain and anger that they felt in that moment, I'm sure, was unbearable. It's like, no, this is the person who did this, the person who needs to be held accountable, like he's right here.
The guy took her life. The videos are self-explanatory.
You could actually see where he had the gun that Friday night.
But where was the gun now? Detectives are at a loss for where to begin their search.
At this point in the investigation, the detectives, they don't have that smoking gun. That's a key piece of evidence that's missing.
Fortunately, detectives won't have to search hard to find it.
All this time, Tracy was still in jail for the probation violation.
And that could prove his undoing after a cellmate of Tracy's at the Lamar County Jail reaches out to the detectives.
It's not uncommon for that to happen, and sometimes we just have good luck.
The informant said that while they shared a cell, Tracy had talked about Davisha's murder.
He's telling me about how he killed this girl.
He gives them a lot of information about the case. And some of the information is information only the person that did the murder would know.
Including what Tracy had done with the murder weapon.
He told me where he hid it.
Him all about how he'd killed his girlfriend, Davisha Harris.
He's in jail, telling his cellmate what he did and what he did with the murder weapon.
And this other inmate decided to talk to investigators and give them information. And the reason why he would want to do that is to possibly get some time off his own sentence.
It's a huge break in the case, if it's the truth.
Following up on the tip, detectives searched where the informant said Tracy had disposed of the gun.
And he gave the exact location where the gun would be.
It appeared to be a match for the gun Tracy had in Davisha's cell phone video.
But is it really the murder weapon?
When the crime lab compared the gun with the bullet recovered during Davisha's autopsy, it was a match.
It's news Davisha's family has been waiting to hear.
The investigators actually called us and told us they had found the weapon. They knew that he killed Davisha, so it was going to actually be murder.
As a detective, the best thing about this job is being able to come to them and give them that closure.
That sense of closure proved short-lived, however.
The prosecutor felt like the case wasn't strong enough for a murder conviction.
Rather than pursue murder charges, they offered Tracy the opportunity to plead to manslaughter.
Manslaughter is something that happened in the heat of the moment. It could be an argument, an altercation, which caused the suspect to kill the victim.
In other words, if you were in the heat of passion, again, just based on human being, human nature, you're not in your right mind.
Tracy takes the deal, admitting that he shot Davisha in the middle of an argument.
I'm done. You need to leave.
For what?
I'm done. I'm done with this and I'm done with you.
I ain't going nowhere.
Oh, okay. Big man with a gun.
Oh, you don't think I'll do it?
I know you won't.
He was someone that was spiraling. He was rapidly unraveling.
For Davisha's family, Tracy's plea deal is a slap in the face.
A lot of emotions was tied up. Anger, disappointment, just pain, you know. It was just unrealistic pain. It was like just almost living that heartache over again, that initial heartache.
When your loved one has been in a situation where they've had that person brandish a gun, threaten them, when there's video footage to show it, it's kind of difficult to accept that he was just angry or jealous in the moment.
You took her life. And to me, in my opinion, it was premeditated.
At Tracy's sentencing hearing, Davisha's family makes it clear they consider the plea deal a travesty of justice.
They would read the impact statement to him of how we actually felt about it, about this whole situation. And he was just a little punk ass, too scared to even turn his head and look and listen. I told him, won't you turn your head and look at me while I'm talking to you, mother. But he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it.
He was sitting there shaking his dreads and kind of laughing at us, you know, smiling at us, you know, like, I beat this case, you know, like, I've got over on y'all. Y'all not getting what y'all thought y'all was gonna get. You know what I'm saying? Because we will always think justice will be revealed.
Will a father's impassioned statement and Tracy's apparent contempt for the process have an impact on the judge?
The judge himself He asked the DA 3 times, is this all you charge this man with all the evidence I see here? He asked the DA 3 times. The DA said yes.
And in the end, the judge honors the terms of the plea and sentences Tracy to 15 years.
He was let off lightly, and it was not fair. I was very angry when I heard about it.
I have nothing for the legal system now. You know, it's just, they just let us down. It's like we didn't matter to them, that she didn't matter, and she does matter.
We're talking about a 19-year-old young lady who had her entire life ahead of her, who was just starting to really establish herself, really starting to understand what it even means to be independent and to be an adult, and to have her life senselessly taken away from her. I don't think she nor her family received justice.
He still gets to get out, create a family, and just live his life, and she wasn't able to do that.
The Harris family is going to be affected forever. Forever and ever.
I'm coping. Day by day, I'm coping. But you never forget it.
Although Davisha's parents do hope that her story will allow others to avoid a similar fate.
Someone starts to physically abuse you, verbally abuse you emotionally, you need to get out the relationship as fast as you can. Tell somebody.
When you see these red flags, when you see these warning signs, take them to heart.
Let somebody know, if it's not your parents or your siblings, somebody you respect that's older. Let them know so this situation won't happen again.
But they also see Davisha's story as a cautionary tale for parents.
Teach your child to always be mindful of the company they keep or the individual they want to date.
Her being naive played a part, not realizing what she was stepping into, the danger what she was stepping into.
Because what you lose can be more than any family can bear.
She's a sweet person. You know, it's truly missed. Truly missed by all.
She wasn't here for a long time, but she definitely left her mark.